Hi, second graders. Today we're going to read chapter 4 of Gooney Bird Greene. On Monday, Gooney Bird stood in front of the class when Mrs. Pigeon told her that it was story time. The children barely noticed Gooney Bird's clothes, even though she was wearing a ruffled pinafore, dark blue knee socks, and high-top basketball sneakers. The second graders and Mrs. Pigeon, too, were all much too interested in Gooney Bird's earrings. The earrings dangled and glittered and were very large. Said Kiko in an odd voice. My grandmother's house has doorknobs that look like that, Tricia announced, and she has a sparkly chandelier in the dining room. My grandmother is very rich. Do you have holes in your ears? Malcolm asked. My mom does. My mom went and had holes stabbed right into her ears with a needle. I did too, Beanie called out. I have pierced ears. So do I, Mrs. Pigeon told the class. She turned her head from side to side so they could see that her small gold earrings. No, Gooney Bird said, my earrings screw in onto my ears. They have little screws that you turn. Barry Tuckerman thrust his arm into the air and waved it wildly. Around him, other children had their hands raised too. My mom has pierced ears, Barry said loudly. Ben, Miss Pigeon said next. Ben said, my mom has pierced ears too, and so does my grandma. There's Gooney Bird. All right, class, Miss Pigeon said, does anyone have something else to say which is not about pierced ears? Because it's time for Gooney Bird to begin today's stories. All of the hands disappeared except one. Chelsea kept her hand high up in the air. Miss Pigeon sighed. Chelsea, my mom has a pierced nose, Chelsea told the class. Oh no, Kiko wailed, I'm going to be sick. Shh, the other children said. When the story was quiet, Gooney Bird began her Monday story. Here we go. Notice the font is different. The Prince, the Palace, and the Diamond Earrings. Once upon a time before she moved to Water Tower, when she still lived in China, Gooney Bird Greene was on her front porch playing Monopoly against herself. Gooney Bird number 1, the thimble, owned all the 4 railroads and St. Charles Place, which she liked because it was magenta. Gooney Bird 2, the car, was having a harder time of it. She owned Atlantic Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, and she liked the combination of yellow and green. She also owned both Waterworks and the Electric Company, but unfortunately, she was in jail. Suddenly, just as Gooney Bird number 2 tried unsuccessfully for the second time to throw doubles and get out of jail, she heard someone calling loudly, Napoleon is missing! It was the prince who lived next door. Hands flew up into the air, and Gooney Bird looked impatiently at her classmates. Are these really, really important questions? Because I have barely just started the story. One by one, the hands went back down. Here's a picture. Mrs. Pigeon had picked up the encyclopedia. Gooney Bird, Mrs. Pigeon said, I have a feeling you know this already, but Napoleon Bonaparte, she turned to the class. He was the Emperor of France, she explained. Ooh, Kiko said, I love emperors. Miss Pigeon, still looking at the encyclopedia, went on, Napoleon was born in 1769. That's more than 200 years ago. Miss Pigeon, Barry Tuckerman was halfway out of his seat, waving his hand. Yes, Barry? My grandmother once saw an emperor butterfly, but now it's extinct. It was purple, Barry Tuckerman said. Gooney Bird sighed. Do you want to hear the story or not? She asked. I can't wear these earrings all day. They're very heavy. Yes, we do, Miss Pigeon said. Please go on. Ready? Gooney Bird asked the class. Everyone was ready, so Gooney Bird continued. Gooney Bird, the prince called, sounding very distressed. Napoleon has disappeared. Can you help us find him? Gooney Bird carefully tucked all the Monopoly money under the edge of the board so that it wouldn't blow away. There was a slight breeze, and she had problems with money blowing away in the past, and she kept her own money collection, which she carried with her at all times, safely contained in a Ziploc bag. Then Gooney Bird set out to look about for clues that might reveal the whereabouts of Napoleon. Napoleon was not the Emperor of France. He was a large black poodle. Every hand in the second grade classroom shot up, even Felicia Ann's. I knew that would happen, Gooney Bird said. I just knew it. Time for intermission, Mrs. Pigeon. Do you want to deal with this? Miss Pigeon nodded. She thought for a moment, then she announced, every child who has a poodle, put your hand down. 4 hands went down. Now, Miss Pigeon said, every child whose grandmother has a poodle, hands down. 7 more hands were lowered. Every child who knows a poodle, who does interesting tricks, or who gets into trouble, or who ran away once, hands down. Other hands went down. And now there were just 3 hands still in the air. Beanie, what kind of dog do you have? Miss Pigeon asked. Golden Retriever. That's lovely. And Ben? Corgi. Good. And finally, Tricia, I don't have a dog, Tricia said sadly. I'm allergic to dogs, and my mother said I can never ever have one, or even a cat, not ever, because I might have a terrible asthma attack, and then I would have to go to the hospital and maybe in an ambulance. And we understand, Tricia. And now let's go back to the story, because we still don't know what happened to Napoleon or about the palace, said Kiko, and the earrings. Greenbird shook her head a little so that the earrings moved and sparkled in a glamorous way. Listen for the word suddenly, Gooney advised. I put one in the story already, but I like to sprinkle in several. Some other suddenlies will be coming soon. Gooney examined the prince's backyard. She saw a place where the ground was disturbed by the corner of the fence. Look, she said. See this bit of dog hair caught in the fence? That looks like Napoleon's. See, she said next, pointing to some newly dug earth. Here is where Napoleon wiggled under the fence. What a good detective you are, the prince said to Gooney. Gooney let herself out of the yard and through the gate. She sniffed and listened. Suddenly, that's a suddenly, called Malcolm. Good listening, Gooney said. Then she continued. Suddenly, because of the clues that she smelled and heard, Gooney moved forward. There at the end of the alley was an overturned garbage can, and there, with his head inside the garbage can, was Napoleon eating garbage. He had coffee grounds all over his face, and an orange peel was stuck on his ears. You naughty thing, Napoleon, Gooney said. She took a hold of his collar. Napoleon burped. Oh, no, Kiko cried. Not garbage, not burping. Shh, the other children said. Many hands were waving in the air. Miss Pigeon stood up. No stories about dogs eating garbage, she said firmly. Not a single one. All of the hands went down. And please, please, please tell about the palace and the prince and the earrings, Chelsea begged. I'm about to, Gooney said. Gooney took Napoleon back to his house. The prince asked Gooney to go to the palace for a reward. Did you get all dressed up in a ball gown, Beanie asked. Maybe in a tiara, asked Tricia. I hadn't planned to describe clothes, Gooney said, but since you asked, I'll insert a little descriptive passage here. When she went to the palace, Gooney was wearing clothes from the L.L. Bean catalog. She wore island hopper shorts with front flat pockets and a pointelle knit tank top in sun yellow. The prince had on rugged canvas shorts and polyester and a nylon pale khaki plaid short-sleeved. Malcolm disappeared under his desk. Ben picked up his arithmetic book and began to do some problems. Nicholas put his head down on his arms and closed his eyes. Gooney stared at them. Am I boring you? She asked. Yes, the class said, all but Felicia Ann, who was silent, and Kiko, who was not bored at all. What color were the island blue hopper shorts? Kiko asked. I hope blue. As a matter of fact, they were deep sea green with true blue stripes down the sides. I might wear them to school next Wednesday. Oh, good, Kiko said. I'll continue now. Gooney said. It doesn't matter what clothes the prince had. The main character in the story is Gooney And it is important to tell a lot about the main character because the main character is right smack in the middle of everything. All the others are just minor characters, and it is boring to tell about their clothes. Or you could call them secondary characters, Miss Pigeon pointed out. Excuse me for interrupting, Gooney but I'll just write that on the board. Secondary characters. Gooney waited patiently while Miss Pigeon wrote. Then she breathed deeply and was about to continue it. But then she looked at the class. She walked down the classroom aisle to Malcolm's desk and peered under it. Malcolm was asleep on the floor. Ben was doing his arithmetic, and Nicholas was making his thumbs wrestle with each other. His left one was winning. This is my fault, Gooney said loudly. I have failed to hold your attention. Of course, it didn't help that Miss Pigeon interrupted, but I blame myself for not inserting enough suspense into the story. Stories need suspense, Gooney said, so I shall try to add some now. Shall I continue the story now? Yes, Miss Pigeon said. Yes, said the children, all but Malcolm, who was still asleep, and Felicia Ann, who never said anything. So Gooney continued, I'll start right off with a suddenly, she said. That always wakes people up. Suddenly, when they entered the palace, Gooney needed to go to the bathroom. Malcolm woke up. He popped up from under his desk. I have to go to the bathroom, he said. Go, Miss Pigeon told him and pointed to the classroom door. Malcolm hurried from the classroom. Did the palace have bathrooms, Beanie asked. Oh, I'm sorry, she added. I forgot to raise my hand. Yes, Gooney said. The palace had 2 bathrooms, gentlemen and ladies. And what about the diamond earrings, Tricia asked. I'll finish the story now, Gooney said. And when she came out of the ladies' room, Gooney saw a gumball machine. In a palace, Kiko said. Shh, the other children said. Gooney Bird continued. Gooney Bird had not had a gumball for at least 4 months since she wanted one, and she had brought her money collection since she always carried it everywhere in a very heavy Ziploc bag. Her arms had developed big muscles from carrying her money collection. Gooney Bird stopped the story for a moment and held up her arms to display the muscles, and then she went on. So Gooney Bird took a penny from her money collection and put it into the gumball machine, but instead of a gumball came out a diamond earring. It was quite a pleasant surprise, and she screwed it into her left ear. After that she felt lopsided, but she could see that there was another diamond earring inside the gumball machine. So she put in another penny, and she got a blue gumball. It probably matched the true blue stripes of her sea green shorts, Kiko pointed out in a loud whisper. Shh, said the class. Gooney Bird continued. Gooney Bird put the blue gumball into her mouth. It made a large lump in her cheek, and it tasted like spearmint. She felt doubly lopsided now. So she took another penny from her money collection and put it into the gumball machine. This time she got a yellow gumball. She put the yellow gumball into her mouth, and now she had a large lump on either side of her face. So her face wasn't lopsided, but her head still felt lopsided because she only had one diamond earring. She put another penny in, and she got a red gumball. She put it into her pocket and saved it for later. Now her hips felt lopsided. She took another penny from her money collection. This time she got an orange gumball, and she put it into her other pocket. And now her hips weren't lopsided anymore, but she still only had one diamond earring. Gooney Bird stopped the class and looked at... Gooney Bird stopped the story and looked at the class. I'm going to jump ahead right now, she said. Miss Pigeon, is there a word for when the author jumps ahead in the story and skips over some things? Miss Pigeon thought about it. When an author jumps backwards in the story, it's called a flashback. So maybe jumping ahead would be called a flash forward. Well, Gooney Bird announced, I'm flashing forward. After 20 minutes, all the pennies in Gooney Bird's money collection were gone, and the gumball machine was empty. Now Gooney Bird had 67 gumballs, 2 in her mouth, 2 in her pockets, and 63 in her Ziploc bag. She also had a pair of very large, glittery, dangly diamond earrings, which she wears to this day. When they saw her in the diamond earrings, everyone in the palace, including the prince, 2 motorcycle guys, and a lady in the wheelchair, cheered. Then they hugged and kissed and did a short but quiet, beautiful ballet. The end. What a lovely story, Miss Pigeon said. And a flash forward is very effective, Gooney Bird. I'm so glad you finally got the second earring. Gooney Bird turned her head from side to side so her classmates could admire the earrings. All the children clapped. Did the prince ask you to marry him? Kiko asked. What are you talking about? Gooney Bird said. The Pryns are already married. Mr. Howard Prynne is married to Mrs. Amanda Prynne. 1 Prynne plus 1 Prynne equals Pryns. The Pryns live next door with me and their dog Napoleon. Oh, the children said Pryns. Barry Tuckerman had jumped off and was waving his arm frantically in the air. That wasn't a true story, Barry called out. I tell only absolutely true stories, Gooney Bird said impatiently. How many times must I tell you that? No, it wasn't, because I've seen lots of pictures of palaces, and they have throne rooms and red carpets, and people get dressed up in ball gowns, and... Barry, Gooney Bird said with a sigh. What am I going to do with you? What do you mean? Barry asked. You're talking about a small P palace, but I was talking about the capital letter ice cream shop called The Palace, where they have bathrooms, Beanie suggested. And a gumball machine, Chelsea said, with diamond earrings. Exactly right, Gooney Bird said, and she took her seat. Then carefully she unscrewed her dangling earrings. Ouch, she said, these really hurt. Malcolm returned to the classroom. Did you get out of jail, Gooney Bird, he asked. Gooney Bird looked unhappy for a moment. No, she said, Napoleon ate my Monopoly game. End of chapter.